And we're live. Not live, but we're recording. Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sam.
And I'm Mason. And you know it's good when it starts with Raikan. Okay. So today we're gonna review
YYY. That literal song has made it into my everyday life.
It's in my subconscious, for sure.
Yeah, like if something goes wrong, I'm like, why?
And then you feel a little better. Oh man. You're good at show run-throughs, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna let you take this one again.
This is a really short series, so we probably won't be talking about it for super long, I don't think, but let me start with a little bit of background. YYY is a series that came on both mine and Mason's radar because Talay, who was in My Engineer, he played King, he is in YYYYY. So of course, him being the current king of boys love, we had to tune in. So it turns out that this show has some relation to YRU because the director of YRU is also the director of YYYYY. And there's a lot of cross-promotional stuff going on in the early episodes of YYYYY. Also, the company that is paying for YYY, the series, is a company called Copy A Bangkok. And that name might not sound familiar to you guys, but you might have heard of a company called Kosokomo. Because Kosokomo were the producers of season 2 of Make It Right, which is a show that Mason hasn't really watched, but that I am a huge fan of for all of its problematic tendencies. And so this is a company that has a lot of experience, historical experience with boys love, but a director who so far kind of has a spotty record for directorial success.
Well, I looked it up, and he also directed Make It Right as well.
Well, there you go. So Copy A, that's his thing. Even though Copy A was not credited as the production company for YRU, which is bizarre. Don't know why that is the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, there are some things in Make It Right that that's why I said it's a problematic fave. There are some things in Make It Right that make it a very difficult show to like. I'm never a fan of people who have a girlfriend and have a boyfriend and are trying to spin the whole thing, choosing between the two. Not fun. As much as I love Maxtel and their show Together With Me, that was a huge issue in that show. But with YRU and with YYY, and I would say even maybe the latter parts of Make It Right, this director doesn't seem like he takes a lot of time kind of having an idea of what the whole series is going to be about. He kind of is like, we'll just take it as it comes. We'll just work on it as we start filming. And that is one of the most annoying things as a viewer you will ever go through in life. And Mason will talk about that a lot more when we get into the last episode. But the series basically is there's an apartment complex run by a beautiful person named Porpla. And Porpla has two kind of flunkies named Mocha and Latte. And they do whatever Porpla wants. And Porpla spends her days terrorizing the residents of her apartment complex. And there's a young man by the name of Knot, and him and his roommate Ohm are in their room one day doing whatever they do. And somehow or another, he manages to catch the television in the next room on fire. And because of that, Porpla wants to kick him out of the apartment because, I mean, he caused a fire. You know, that's a good reason to kick somebody out of an apartment. But not Pun, who is a brand new boy on the scene, wants to move into the apartment complex. And Knot says, hey, if you kick me out, Pun's not going to move in because Pun is my boyfriend. So all of a sudden there's this imaginary boyfriend trope, like imaginary to real boyfriend thing. There's also some other stuff like Pun is apparently a part of an Instagram imaginary couple. And then there's Yuri, who's a girl who's in love with Knot, but she's like just extremely overbearing and weird. And then there's the Chinese twins, who I'm absolutely certain is a racist caricature of Chinese people. And then there is the coffee body shop owner. I don't know how to describe her business. Like, she wears a coffee shop.
The costume
And
design is pretty great, honestly.
yeah, so she's like, she is the coffee shop.
It's very
And then,
Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. Like,
yeah.
she's like the dancing fork.
She reminds me of like those old Tex Avery cartoons where they would have cigarette girls in nightclubs.
Mm. Right.
That's kind of, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. I
Yeah.
used to love Tex Avery when I was a kid. It was so inappropriate. And then there's like a taxi driver who we see maybe 4 times this whole series, and he's hardly there at all. So that is the rundown for YYY, and let's get into it. Yay!
Let's do it. Okay, so this show only had 6 episodes, and it was pretty short. Like, I think they were like, maybe half an hour episodes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty short. It is very, very stylized. Like, I would say if in the first 5 minutes you're like,
Seizure warnings.
I don't jive with this, you're not gonna like it. It's very consistently very over the top, and maybe that's just how like Thai sitcoms are. I've never watched one, I wouldn't know. But like they love a laugh track. Anytime anyone delivers a line, there's a laugh track afterwards. And lots of quick cuts and sound effects, and just, it's weird. Like, this show is weird. They do weird things happen. There's an episode where they get trapped in the washing machine. That was a plot point. Why? I don't know. The washing machine's then light on fire. You're like, well, here we go. It's kind of just, you kind of take it as it is. Things just happen, not really without any rhyme or reason, which is not bad. I actually like how super stylized it is. It's actually one of the bonuses, I would say, for the show.
It is very colorful. Like, if I was going to describe the aesthetics of this show, I would imagine like the producer of the Golden Girls merged with like someone who went to the Emma Chamberlain School of Editing and decided, we're going to build a show.
Yeah.
Because it's got like cheesy 80s laugh tracks and kind of like over the top broad jokes and stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, there's like just bizarre, apropos to nothing things going on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be the best way for me to describe it. Also, like, this is the show that goes against the theme of our show. Every show we start with, it's good if it starts with Raikant Topani. This show does not start with Raikant Topani.
We haven't had one in a while.
Yeah. This is one of those ones where it's like, it starts with like, don't watch this show if you're looking for sense. It makes no sense. Don't watch this show if you're looking for education.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're talking about. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, the love story between Knot and Pun, as short as this series is, it feels very organic.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
Because like 6 episodes, that's usually when the romance starts. Like if you watch Together, or if you watch, I don't know, name another series. A lot of series, episode 6 is usually the episode when like people start to get together or they acknowledge their love for each other.
Right.
This shit's done at the end of episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So to have them move as quickly as they did, even though we'll talk about that, have them move as quickly as they did in the course of 6 episodes without it seeming very rushed is quite surprising that they pulled that off.
Yeah, they did a good job with that for sure.
Yeah.
I think the show, for the most part, does actually a really good job of when it needed to be toned down and give you something a bit more serious or realistic. It did a good job of that. One of my favorite scenes is in the last episode. There's a scene where Pun is like, I'm going to move out. Like, we're not really going to be together. So I'm going to move out of this apartment. And he's talking to Porpla. And Porpla gives her a little speech about a time where she loved someone and it just didn't work out for them. And they have a really beautiful conversation and the acting's really good. It's very subtle. And then they hug, and it's just like such a genuine moment for both those characters, especially because Porpla is like consistently at a 12 out of 10. Like, she is just insane. She's honestly the best character. I love her. But like, to get just like this one moment of her where she's really caring, it's like the show just does a good job of taking the time to do that for people.
Yeah, and they do that a lot. You get most of those kind of moments with not most of Not's moments tend to have that
Mhm.
tenderness,
Yeah.
but you get them with other times too. Like there was a really nice heart-to-heart conversation between Arm and Ohm. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So, it was nice. They definitely knew like how to change tones, except for the last episode was mostly serious. Mostly serious.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the beginning of the show is wild. The not in not in Ohm are polar opposites in terms of what their focus in life is.
Right.
Ohm's focus in life is TNA,
Mhm.
and Not wants to open a muffler shop because he's like a handyman, gadgety, fixer-upper type.
Mhm.
And somehow or another, Ohm causes something to happen with Not's gadgetry corner, and a fish is in a goldfish bowl, ends up in the air, lands in Not's mouth. Ohm lands on Not's stomach, and Not spits out the goldfish,
Mhm.
and then the goldfish lands in a cup, it's just all the things. And just that one opening scene alone really does speak to like the way this show is. Like there's just slapstick the whole time.
Yeah.
It's constantly physical comedy stuff.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't like that opening scene, you're not gonna like the show, because that is the show. That's the show. You know?
Oh, and this show did something really interesting. I'm sure it's been done before, but I feel like this is the first time I've seen it. They had an episode 0. So before the show officially started, they had an episode 0 where you met all the actors, but you met all the actors in character.
Oh, I never watch episode zeros because I don't like them. So.
Oh man, I think you would have enjoyed it. It was very interesting. So like episode 0 was filmed as if it was a newscast, and
Mhm.
Porpla was the host with her 2 sidekicks, Mocha and Latte, and
Mhm.
everyone that was on the cast introduced themselves in episode 0 in character. But it didn't give away the plot really that much. It was just like getting to know like who these weird people are so that their backgrounds don't have to be discussed once the show opens. So like the coffee shop person explained who they were. That
Mhm.
way when you saw them wearing the coffee shop, you weren't like, oh, that's new. Like it just was a thing. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting. Oh, speaking of uh themes, this is an adult show. Like there's not a lot of like skinship in this show,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of like boner and sex jokes in this show.
That's for sure.
Yeah, like there's one scene where Knot and Pun are on the floor after they've fallen out of the bed, and Porpla and her team are walking around bent over to cover their erections.
Uh-huh.
And then there's another scene where the coffee shop owner and the taxi driver are like dry humping in the laundry room.
Mhm.
Like it's just, yeah. So it's bizarre. Like this is such a hard show to talk about because there's nothing going on and everything going on, and none of the things that actually went on are connected to anything that went on.
Yeah, I was really worried about this last night when I rewatched it, because I was like, how do we even talk about it? Because it's a lot of really strange events that are very loosely connected.
Mhm.
And like, none of the events, like, if you're even trying to describe like that opening scene with the fish, like, I feel like if you're a viewer and you haven't seen the show, and you'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about? You know? So yeah, it was a weird show. I I think that there is a it's very clear that this director is kind of sloppy between Why Are You in Here. We kind of gave Why Are You some slack for, with the pandemic, they couldn't film everything. So we tried to give them some slack. But this show was filmed well before, pre-filmed, and it still was sloppy in terms of its storytelling and retconning scenes and not being consistent. Here's a good example.
Spoiler!
Last episode, let's talk about it. So episode 5, it ends with they're on the roof and Knott's like, I really care for you. I really like you. And Pun's like, ditto.
Oh my God, you're so hot.
And it's like the sun setting and it's really, really cute. It's really sweet. You've probably seen the photo. I might even make that photo my thumbnail because it seems to be the most iconic image, you know? And then top of episode 6, scene 1, Porpla, Mocha, and Latte are outside, and Knot and Pun walk in, and they're like, oh, so what's the update? And Knot goes, oh, I'm his boyfriend. And Pun just kind of like nudges him, like, don't tell people yet. So you're like, oh, okay, cool. So they're dating now. Mm-hmm. Cut to the very next scene. Knot is in bed. He was
getting a rub down.
He was getting a rub down because he was sick. He was sick. He was sick because the building was on fire the episode before. I can't get into it now because it's just, I'm telling you, it's too much. So, you know, Pun's giving him like a rub down and it's like feeding him. And after he feeds him and takes care of him, Knot's like, you know, I really like you. I wish you were my boyfriend. And then Pun runs out of the room. So I'm immediately like, hold up. You just told us the scene before that you two were dating. And I'm presuming we are just doing a time cut and it's still the same day. They were in the same outfits. So what? And then they're not dating, but they both know that they like each other and they kissed. So I'm confused there. And then we quite literally smash cuts to them having a pillow fight. So.
Who owns feather pillows in 2020?
They smash cut to them pillow fighting. I thought it was a surrealist scene. Nope. It was completely canon, dead serious. And after they pillow fight, like, like high school girls, they're sitting on the floor and Pun's like, you know, Knot, I just want to say, I really like you too. Will you be my boyfriend? And Knot looks at him and goes, no. And I was like, wait a sec. In 3 scenes, we went from they're dating to not asking Pun out to Pun asking Knot out and then getting rejected. So this makes no sense. It literally makes no logical sense. I don't know what to say. Like, I literally, like, I was watching it last night and I was messaging Sam mad because I was like, what the fuck did they do this for? I hated it. I really did not like that. And
then the rest of the show is all about the fact that they don't discuss this lingering attraction to one another and the barriers between them.
And it's like Knot's reason for being like, oh, I don't want to date you anymore is like, I'm an orphan and I have problems and those will eventually come up. And it was like, what?
So when he explained it, it didn't make any sense. The way that the showrunners tried to correct it is they tried to make it seem like it wasn't so much that he was afraid that he wasn't good enough, because that's the way he explained it to Pun.
Right.
It was more a fear that Knot had of being left. Because shortly after that, Yuri and Ohm start going out. And he's like, really? Y'all are just going to go out in front of my face, in front of my salad? And they're like, well, I like him. He likes me. We're going to go out. And he's like, well, what if you break up? She's like, oh, well. That happens. Yeah. And so then Pun has a going away party and Arm goes to talk to Knot because Knot doesn't show up. And it's a shame because it looks like a fun party. First of all,
I want to go.
It looks like a real party because it's only people that they know instead of these parties where there's a bunch of strangers in the background. Wow. And number 2, everyone is wearing dresses and gets drag names.
Mm-hmm. It's so fun. I want to.
So Arm goes to talk to Knot because Knot hasn't shown up. And Knot's like, I hate saying goodbye. And Arm tells him, you don't hate saying goodbye. You hate people leaving. which makes sense because he's an orphan, and so he's afraid of being left. That all this makes absolute sense. But you think that he's made a breakthrough. He's had the conversation with Yuri and Ohm. He's had the conversation with Arm. You're thinking to yourself, okay, he's come to terms with this. Pun goes down to the room to pack his stuff, and he is wearing a gorgeous orange gown with pearl accents, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the most non-conversation in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even recall it because nothing was really said other than, like, I didn't want to say goodbye.
And
Bye.
then Pun's like, as a friend, you owe me a goodbye. And Nat was like, sorry about it.
Yeah, like there's like long periods of silence. Then Pun goes up to the roof to say goodbye to all of his friends and stuff at the party. Cool, everybody's sad. The coffee shop owner gives him like 2 coffee beans and says to make yourself a cup of coffee. And then Purple's like, why don't you give him the jar? Sales are down. So it's just like, it's so bizarre. But anyway, a spaceship shows up. A spaceship shows up, and Pun is beamed into space. Never in the entire show was it ever mentioned that Pun had any relation to space, the space program, aeronautics, nothing.
There were literally no even like subtle hints that this was maybe a possibility.
None at all.
And the frame of the shots leading up to that were narratively, like, they were bad shots because they don't make sense together. And it takes you a minute to realize that he's like maybe an alien. The way that the shots are framed. Wait, can I talk about this real quick? Because it bothered me to no end.
Okay.
Wait, okay, sorry. Tangent. So, when we see him, like, he's like saying bye to his friends and they're like, bye, bye, bye. And then he turns, the camera cuts, it's an upshot of him. He sort of looks forward and then steps out of frame. Next we cut and there's a spaceship flying above. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
I thought he jumped off the roof and the spaceship caught him in midair.
Yeah, like there's no narrative sense. What they should have done, because clearly they couldn't do the CGI of him like being lifted up. What they could have done is set up some spotlights, right? Towards like the edge of the thing, had the spotlights like, or even like some shitty blue wavy effect, you know, like an alien spaceship. Because they did shitty effects earlier in the show. They're not above the shitty effects. The fire effects were fucking terrible. You know, it stylistically works for the show anyway. So take the stupid alien effects, you know, do like some weird neener like noises, and have a shot of him on the ground, his feet, as he steps into the spotlight. And then we cut and we see the spaceship up above. So we're like, okay, he's being beamed up. Cool. Anyways, they did that twice in the show because Not eventually gets up into the spaceship, and neither time it's very clear. So anyways.
And is Porpla an alien too?
That's what I thought, because Not runs up the roof and he's like, I need to say goodbye to Pun. Even though literally 2 minutes ago, he was not about that at all. And Porpla's like, oh, he's up there now, but I have this spacesuit prepared for you. And I was like, so she must be an alien. Or like a god, like what is this now? And then, okay, this also confused me because when he gets beamed up into space, we cut to them on the spaceship. Both of them are in spacesuits. So, first of all, why do either of them need a spacesuit inside? Second of all, we never see Pun with a spacesuit carrying it, holding it. He doesn't have one. It's not there.
No, he left in a dress.
Yeah, and if he's an alien, why would he need the spacesuit?
I don't know. Nothing makes sense. And like the spacesuits, they have these helmets that have like these welder visors on them. And so they're not like the kind with the glass. So they just flip the visor up so they can talk to each other. So you must not need the suit for oxygen. It's just for fashion. I don't understand anything.
So then after that, they basically say goodbye. Again, it's another conversation where nothing is really said. And then there's the credits, and then it cuts to a year later, and we get like a nice shot of the building, and then we cut to Pun, and he's like, it's not over yet. Wink. And then he walks towards the building. So you're like, okay, so season 2.
There is a season 2 for this show, by the way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, this is so bizarre. What the fuck? Why? What? Why? This show totally lives up to its name. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, it can be bizarre and weird and super kooky, but it needs to still have grounding in some areas. But I feel like even in like small scenes that should be grounded in something aren't grounded in anything. A good example of this is I think it's episode 3. They get trapped in an elevator. So they walk into the building, they walk up a flight of stairs, then get on the elevator, I guess. And then they're going up to what floor? I don't know. It was just like, it was weird. I have to go like frame by frame or like shot by shot because there's just a lot of weird like camera choices where I was like, so they go up into the elevator and then we cut to Yuri like, oh, looks like they are maybe dating. And then we cut to them in the elevator and then the elevator stops. And I was like, wait, they're in an elevator? We didn't see them get into an elevator. It was weird. Like,
the elevator sequence, that was my favorite episode. The elevator episode was my absolute favorite because Knot is also a wizard, which we didn't address that either. So Pun is an alien, Knot is a wizard, and Porpla is a god.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the reason why Porpla is wearing that beautiful dress, because Porpla is a god.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like her goddess form.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Knot says he can fix the elevator. So he goes to get his screw that he keeps in his underwear. He tries to pull that out, right?
Uh-huh.
But he can't. I guess he's between the two of them, they're not tall enough to get to whatever it is he thinks he needs to fix to get the elevator working. So instead, he reaches back into his pants and pulls out an entire French bistro.
See, I took that scene as like surrealist, as like they're playing like when you're a kid and you play house. Like the stuff's not actually there, but you're pretending it's there.
Yeah, well, they've been swimming in the laundry room at this point. So yeah. I think all of these things are happening because this is not the same terrestrial plane as us.
Yeah.
So that's why this can happen. But yeah, that was my favorite because like that was where they got to know each other and where you could see the attraction for sure with Pun.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's just it's why?
I think I like the first half. Episodes 4 through 6 I didn't really care for. I think one of the reasons too is they kept relying on flashbacks. It's like,
oh wow, that last episode was half flashbacks, half new action.
And it wasn't even flashbacks to like episode 1. It would literally be a flashback to like a scene 4 minutes prior. Like Arm and Knot talk. There's a scene in between. And then 4 minutes later, it's Knot talking to Pun. And he thinks in his mind of the words that were the wise words that Arm bestowed upon him fucking 4 minutes prior in the show. And it's like, we didn't need a flashback. I'm not stupid. Like, it honestly seemed like they were like, I don't know if they were trying to go for like that, like, anime effect, because a lot of anime relies on like flashbacks and being like, oh, reminiscent and hyper emotional, or if they were like, let's be really clear about what we're doing because we're not sure if the audience knows what the characters are thinking, so let's shove it in their face exactly what the characters are thinking.
I'm going to go anime, and I'm going to go anime because it almost makes everything else make sense. Like, during episode 5, when there was the fire, at one point, I think we were in hell, and those kind of, like, non sequiturs very much seem like something that could be taken out of a comic book.
Yeah. It was so weird.
Anyway, let's just rate it. I think I'm done talking about it for the most part.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ready?
Yeah.
6.5.
5.
I give it a 6.5. I was thoroughly entertained for
It's your point 5.
2.5.
What are you, the monkey's paw? Like, one wish gone.
I couldn't figure out how else to do it. This is the best way.
That's fair, that's fair.
But yeah, I was 6.5 because I did look forward to every episode every week. And I looked forward to it in a way of like, I want to see it rather than, oh my God, how are they going to fuck this up next?
Right.
And I can't say I always felt that way about certain shows that we've already watched. And
Right.
then, you know, it was funny and madcap and slapstick, and it was like SNL for amateurs. Like, it was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, considering all the other more serious, take themselves very serious stuff I was watching at the time. So like 6.5 for me is fair. Edging on 6, I was going to go with the 6, but I went with the 0.5 because Talay.
He was great in the show. He really did a good job.
He's the fucking best, man. If you're not on the Talay train, you need to get on it. And not even just for his looks. He's actually a very competent actor. And these 2 shows are not even his first stuff. He's done, like, he did a Coronetto Boys Love commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And he did an Indian show where he speaks in English and plays a hat. And then he did some show in Thailand that was supposed to lead into him doing a movie called Sea of Lavender, but the movie was never produced. And that was going to be a boys' love movie.
Yeah.
So he's an experienced actor, and there's something about him. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, outside of the cuteness, but like, he does a really good job of something that Mason talks about all the time: micro expressions.
Yeah, he's really nuanced.
Yeah, and so it makes it to where even in the midst of this hurricane of silly, he comes across as like the only normal person in the room.
Yeah.
But not so far removed that it doesn't make sense for him to be there.
Yeah, he's the straight man of the show.
Yeah. So I love him, and he is that extra 0.5%. Just his face and his presence alone.
That's fair. I gave it a 5 because I found it very weak in terms of story, but it gets points for stylism. Like, I do think the crazy stuff is fun, but the like solid, like, but it wasn't grounded enough in the areas that it needed to be, and not even like a I want realism. It's just like didn't make any narrative sense. And then it gets points for some really fun cast. I think Purpla was great. She was my favorite character. I actually really liked Ohm. Normally I'm not here for the straights, and he was aggressively heterosexual, but he was fun. I liked him.
The consent conversation. Thank you for reminding me.
What?
The consent conversation.
Yeah, the consent conversation was really good. And he was a very, very good friend to both Arm. He was a really good friend to Arm. His friend was heartbroken, and he was like, you know what, buddy? It's okay. Things will get better. He gave him a really good pep talk. And I was like, you're a good friend. You're a good friend. And the consent conversation, basically, Ohm had a crush on Yuki. Yuri, sorry. Yuri.
Yeah, Yuki is her man name, by the way.
Right. Yuri. And so not Ohm and Yuri were drinking. They were all really drunk, especially Yuri. And then Ohm was like, this is my chance. And then he puts his arm, and then he takes her and puts her arm around his and starts walking out the room. And Nat's like, you can't do anything. You'll go to jail. And he's like, no, this is my chance to be a gentleman. So when she sees that I'm a gentleman, she'll date me.
And she did!
Yeah.
It totally worked!
Yeah.
Like, I've seen scenes like this in shows before, like, literally together had the exact same scene. It did not lead to dating right off the bat. It led to more confusion. But this one, she actually was like, he was such a gentleman when he took me home and didn't do anything to me, which, that's another conversation. How low is the fucking bar that you fall in love with somebody who decides not to date rape you while you're drunk?
Yeah. She needs to love herself. Like, Yuri does not love herself, clearly. Also, their relationship, honestly, it seemed like he was the gay best friend to her. Like, they didn't seem like they were dating. It was a
They
little...
yell at each other.
They kept being like, meow, meow. And it was like, is he your GBF?
No, she loved him. Like, there was a scene during the fire episode where, like, she's on the ground, like, oh, I've twisted my ankle. And then he comes, like, sliding through, like, I'll save you. And it's just so, like, what? It's a fire!
He saved her with the power of heterosexuality. Bless.
I love it. This show is great. This show's 6.5 is fair. There's some moments.
I think I give it a 5 because I would never rewatch this.
No, I don't recommend rewatching it. And, you know, real talk, I didn't rewatch it for our review. I am literally moving off of memory at this point. But I still think it's a good change of pace. If you're tired of the same old when it comes to Boys Love, if you just really want to laugh and be like, WTF, this is the show for you.
Yeah. That's fun. I like the first 2 episodes a lot. But yeah, I'm going to stick by 5.
Okay. All right. Now we're on to the rest of the show. Quick thing that I wanted to talk about is the need to watch these shows on legal streaming sites.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a director of Boys Love, and I believe he directed the first or the second season of 2 Moons. I'm not sure if he did 2 Moons, the first one, or 2 Moons 2. And the only reason I know that is because there was some conversation about the fact that Motive Village, who produced 2 Moons, didn't include Earth in their boy band OXQ. And people were like, why wouldn't you include him? Like, you got all the couples except for this one. What the fuck? And so the Motive Village people said, well, he's working on other stuff, and the director thinks that he'd be better off doing this, whatever. And the director was like, no, I haven't talked to them about this, and we haven't gotten together on anything. I wanted to hire Earth to do a project for me, and they wouldn't let him go, so fuck them. Mm-hmm. So Motive Village is on our shit list right now. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he directed a movie called Present Perfect and another movie called Present Still Perfect, which is a fairly new movie, came out in 2019. You can watch it on Vimeo. There's another website you can watch it on, I think it's called Gaga Olala, but don't quote me on that. Mm-hmm. But he was on Twitter the last couple of days having a complete meltdown because apparently he hasn't made a lot of money from this movie being available for streaming. And when you list something on a streaming site, any streaming site for the most part, it tells you not only what views you have, but a lot of them have your background information of where the views come from. Mm-hmm. So he was noticing he only had about 3 views from Brazil, but a Brazilian streaming site pirated the movie and put Portuguese subtitles on it. And that pirated website has 10,000 views. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he was very candid about the fact that he's broke. He doesn't have any money. His actors didn't make any money off of this project. Like, you know, they rely on people watching through the official streaming sites in order to make it worth their while to keep doing these things, because camera equipment costs money. Places to film cost money. Actors need to be paid for their time. Then you have makeup artists, costumers, lighting, sound, editing, all of this other stuff goes into making a show. These things are not made for free. They cost money before you and I will ever see a single shot. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to talk real briefly about, you know, I get why people have to pirate stuff. And I'm not even going to lie and say I'm holier than thou, because I have pirated things. There are some contents out of Thailand that just aren't available in the US. For instance, a show that we would love to talk to you guys about is He's Coming to Me. If we could review He's Coming to Me, we would do it in a heartbeat. But the problem is, we don't have any way to share links for that show with you legally. It's
Mhm.
not on Netflix. It's not on YouTube. You can't access it online if you're from the United States because the Line app doesn't work in the United States for Line TV. So I have tried to watch things and I've watched them in illegal means because I couldn't get them anywhere else. However, if the legal site is available, watch it there. And so many of these shows make it available for you. For YYYYY, every episode, the Twitter account would announce the official links for watching it internationally through Line.
Mhm.
My Engineer, legal links on YouTube. There's a lot of other shows that you can find them on Netflix. But
Uh-huh.
please do try to watch them through a legal website if you can, because even though it may seem like pennies and it shouldn't make a difference, when you look at some of the views of some of these shows on YouTube and online,
Mhm.
those pennies add up to dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the streaming numbers for Love by Chance on YouTube. Look at the streaming numbers for Why Are You online.
Mhm.
It's millions of views, and those views have advertisements for each section, and that's how they make their money. And it doesn't cost you anything if you're watching it online or YouTube, so why not?
Mhm.
But that's my little rant, and now we can go to the Instagram of the day, which is also a rant, and I'm gonna let Mason take this because it's Pride Month, and I feel like he might be a bit more insightful than I am.
I didn't research this though.
Okay, well,
So Sam has to do it because Sam told me about it a little bit, but this is your, I don't even know her Instagram. I don't follow her.
okay, so I'm going to spell it for you because you know how bad I am about these things. So our Instagram of the day is the Instagram for Jenny Panan. Panan? I hope I'm saying it right. I'm so sorry, honey. But it's spelled JENNIE _ PANHAN. And for those of you who might feel like that name is familiar, Jenny is a transgendered actor, because actor's non-gendered, so it could be actor, who works for GMMTV. Jenny has been in so many shows. She's currently in The Shipper, but she was also in Three Will Be Free, and I know I've seen her in a lot of other stuff. It's just not coming to mind right now. She also has a YouTube channel, and she actually did reaction videos for every episode of Together on her YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And Brighton Wynn showed up to one of her reviews and watched the show with her, so that's kind of fun.
Mhm.
But Jenny is a very interesting character when it comes to celebrities in Thailand. For a lot of you who don't know, Thailand internationally is kind of known for their lady boys.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, through colonization and just foreigners being assholes, Thailand is kind of also known internationally for prostitution. Not everyone in Thailand is involved in that. Like, you'd be an asshole to think that they were. But
Right.
part of the reason why lady boys are so well known in Thailand is because Thailand is a primarily Buddhist country. And because of that, Buddhism doesn't outwardly say that it's wrong to be transgendered or it's wrong to be homosexual. And since Thailand was never completely colonized, they didn't have a chance for Christianity to come through and kind of ruin everything for them.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not 100% accepted. People still do get kicked out of homes. People still do get harassed. There's still a stigma behind being a lady boy. But it's a much more open opportunity in the cities of Thailand than it is for almost any other place on earth.
Mhm.
So, because of that, there have been transgendered celebrities in Thailand for a really long time. But Jenny occupies a very important space when it comes to transgendered celebrities in Thailand, in that she's not known for being transgender. She's known for being funny.
Mhm.
And her main claim to fame is that she gives great face. Like, her expressions, she has great comedic timing.
Mhm.
And she's much beloved by the people that we tend to follow on Boys Love. Like, all the GMMTV people, they love her, they communicate
Mhm.
with her, they're really good friends. Well, Jenny also is very special in that she's one of the few dark-skinned Thai celebrities.
Mhm.
Jenny is probably the same skin color as me, maybe a bit darker. And Thailand, even though they seem to be a very open-minded country, they tend to look at dark skin as being dirty skin. And so for Jenny to occupy a space as a transgendered woman who's not the butt of the joke, who's seen as a legitimate and to be taken serious actress and comedian, for someone to be dark-skinned on TV and still be considered beautiful, because in Free Will Be Free, she had 2 love interests in that series. She's very special. She's very special, and she represents a wave of progress when it comes to LGBT attitudes from the public. Well, GMMTV put out a tweet, I want to say a couple of days ago, and it was using the Face app, because apparently when the Face app was running through Twitter a few months ago, it just got to Thailand. And people were using the Face app to be like, oh, what would I look like if I was a girl because I'm a guy? So they decided to use the 4 guys on the show to do this Face app thing. They used Ohm, who I love, and who is also a really hot girl. And they used the other 2 lead guys from the show, and they used Jenny. And in the picture that they used of Jenny, she is clearly dressed as a woman. She's dressed in her goddess costume. And when they did the male to female Face app filter, all it did was add some scraggly hair. Everything else was the same.
Right.
And as somebody from a Western perspective, it felt very offensive, because Jenny's not a guy. And so why would you say we had the guys of our show do this when this is not a guy?
Right.
But from a Thailand perspective, Jenny is not a girl. So in Thailand, they have 3rd gender. So they have male, female, and then they have men who are more feminine who occupy that 3rd gender space. And it seems very progressive to me when you look at it from the outside, like, oh, wow, you have 3rd gender. That's so nice. They have a place in society. They have a term in society, but not necessarily a place. You can't change your driver's license to be listed as 3rd gender, but also as a man transitioning to being a woman, you can't have your identification papers changed to say that you're a woman. So even if you have had gender reassignment surgery, you have breast implants, you've been living your life as a woman, you are still a man in every country you go. And for you to understand how this hurts people, there are certain countries in the world that if your appearance doesn't match your sexual designation, you can't even get into their country. So this is a huge deal. And it's a part of the struggle that never is mentioned in Boys Love, is never talked about. So a lot of people took umbrage with the fact that they mentioned her as being a guy. Because it's one thing if you don't want to say, these are the girls of the show. I mean, and not saying it's right, but I'm just saying, I could see if she doesn't consider herself as a girl, that's fine. But she also doesn't consider herself as a man. She considers herself as Katui, which is that 3rd gender. And also looking it up, a lot of people who are a part of 3rd gender don't actually use Katui as their terminology. They use another word, which I had to ask Google Translate to say this word because I can't, and I'm not going to try. This is the word. Hopefully you can hear it.
Female.
Puying. Puying is the phrase that they use internally. So if I was female to male, I would call myself Puying, and that'd be how you would know me. But yeah, it's just really shitty that GMMTV knows how much people love Jenny. They know how much Jenny has done to promote Boys Love, both on Instagram, through her own YouTube channel, and in every other avenue, how much she promotes the channel and the actors on the channel, how valuable she is to a certain segment of society, and for them to brand her as just one of the guys, it just pulls back a lot of the goodwill that has been established for her by that company, and a lot of the ways we feel like she was being treated by that company.
Right.
So that's my whole moment, and I'm sorry if it was a little bit confusing, but I just wanted to talk about that because, again, it's nice to kiki. It's a great time to talk about kissing and all that other stuff, but there are real people out here living real lives and facing real struggles, and part of easing the burdens for a lot of people is by recognizing their struggle and honoring them by calling them who they are. If I identify as one thing and it's not like a dolphin or a dog, call me by the terms that I choose to call myself. But if you tell me that you're a dolphin, absolutely not.
No one's calling themselves a dolphin.
I literally watched a show on Barcroft where this person's like, I am a dolphin.
I don't know what to say to that one.
I don't know what's wrong with people. But yeah, if I claim an identity, I would like you to respect it. Now, granted, there are a lot of subtopics under that we could say, I don't think so. Like, there's the whole transracial thing, which... No.
We're talking about the non-binary spectrum.
Yeah, we're talking about the non-binary spectrum. In that case, whatever I'm saying that I am, do me the solid of just being in agreement.
Yeah.
So that's that. Things we're watching. I'm still watching The Shipper. I've seen 2 episodes. I have not seen the latest episode because I was busy. Also, I am watching the last of the 3 segments of Engineer of Love. Episode 1 of This Is a Love Story aired today, and I am on pins and needles to find out how problematic it is.
I cannot wait. I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, here we go again.
Let me tell you something. The love story is between a college student and a high school student. The reason I'm waiting to see how problematic it is because the high school student is the younger brother of Dr. Dum Dum. Mm-hmm. And also, we don't know what part of high school he's in. Like, we don't know if this is a freshman in high school or a senior in high school. And that makes a huge difference.
Please make it a senior. Like,
I know. So that's like, this show has been so problematic so much already that I'm just like, when they reveal his age, Lord, please. But yeah, I'm watching that right now. I'm also watching Where Your Eyes Linger, which is a Korean boys love. It is a 8-episode boys love airing on Viki right now. So if you have Viki, you can watch it there. But those are what I'm watching currently.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for Mason.
I haven't started. Sam told me to watch Where Our Eyes Linger, so we'll do that one. And I haven't seen the first episode of End of Love, but I will. Other than that, I'm not particularly watching anything like strictly boys love. RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 5 premiered yesterday, so
Woo!
I'm watching that, but it's not boys love, but it is good. Yeah, I guess it's time to do my manga of the week. It feels a little, it's a short series. It's another short series. So this one's only 3 volumes. This one, I would say, please, 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 do not read it with anyone else in the room. It's a very X-rated series. It wouldn't say it's like, it's a yaoi. I wouldn't say it's like a hentai, but it's got sex scenes for sure. So it's called Escape Journey. There are 3 volumes. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. What drew me to it is I saw the cover and I was like, this looks cute. And then I saw the back cover and I was like, this looks really cute. So it's about these 2 boys. I forgot their names. Naoto and Taichi. And they used to date in high school. They broke up, it was a bad breakup, they haven't really talked to each other since. They get to college and they kind of wind up in the same, not only college, but the same friend group. So they're kind of forced back together, and after they're kind of forced back together, they start, sleeping with each other, and it eventually becomes a relationship. It's definitely a little smutty. I remember I was reading this, I bought it at Barnes & Noble, and it had plastic wrap. And it says M for mature. You even had plastic wrap. It says parental advisory, explicit content on the cover. And for some reason, my dumbass was like, I'm gonna read this at the cafe at Barnes & Noble. And then I flipped a page and I was like, oh, yeah. So Sam knows this. Sam actually knows of this series, but she's
Is this the booty hole series?
It's the booty hole series. So I was reading, I think it was volume 2. think it was volume 2. Let's see. Yep, found it. I was reading volume 2. It starts good. It's New Year's. They're like, Happy New Year's. And then they get to fucking. And there is a drawing where they really took advantage of the medium of art as to where there is no actual camera, so they can kind of draw from any viewpoint they would like. And there's one viewpoint where I think it's Taichi. He is stretching out the hole for Taichi because he's like, hey, I'm prepping you. It's a normal thing. If you don't know about it, this is just how it works, guys. So he's stretching the hole, and then we cut to a panel from the perspective of we're inside the butthole. So fingers digging in through the butthole, and Taichi's face like, hello? I remember reading this and just like screaming. And then I immediately was like, Sam, you want to see something nasty? And she was like, absolutely.
Oh, man.
So it's, not only is it great for the yucks it gives, but I actually think the story is really good. Both characters have really great personalities. I think this one's Taichi. I should have reread it before. I've read this a few times, but I'm forgetting their names. I think this one's Naoto. Taichi, he's a bit more subdued. He's more introverted, very quiet, a bit more stern looking. Naoto's like bubbly, everyone's best friend. Everyone likes Naoto. Everyone wants to hang out with Naoto. But it's a great series. It is 3 volumes, and they, like, real talk, if I was to pick one boys' love that I've read and was like, this should be a series, it would be this one. I think it progresses great. I think the way it addresses coming out was really good. They also deal with, like, of course there's a disagreement. They do the thing where it's like, someone else has a crush on Naoto, and it drives a rift between them. But it's not, like, egregious, and it doesn't take that long of a time. Because once they're together, they're pretty much together. And it's mostly just, like, societal issues, telling friends, things like that. The friends are great. I love the friends.
And we love a good friend group ever.
We love a supportive friend group, especially because there's a scene where Naoto's friend sticks up for him when he's not there, because that's a true ally. A true ally will stick up for you if you are not in the room. So someone was making fun of gay people, and he was like, fuck you, I don't see the problem, I'm not doing this. What? You just went...
I was just thinking, we were discussing what show we should watch to kind of round out Pride Month. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, we should watch The Effect. The only thing is, I know you don't like to watch things that are sad, but I have been told that The Effect is really good about taking that rape trope and playing it completely out to its realistic end.
Interesting.
So, it just depends on how comfortable you are, but I've heard The Effect is a must-watch, and it's a short series. I think it's got 4 episodes, maybe, or 6. It's not a full 12.
Okay. But yeah, this good manga. Art's pretty good. I respect the artist for drawing a bike on every volume cover. Drawing bikes is very hard. No one really likes drawing a bike. So anyone that willingly draws a bike in their free time, honestly, props. There's even a very prestigious art school in America called RISD, and part of their application is you have to draw a bike, because no one wants to draw a bike. And it's just hard. Whenever I have to draw a bike for work, I'm like, no.
Can we just show them sitting? Like, can we show from the
Yeah, like, can I draw the handlebars? Like, can we apply the bike? But Escape Journey is great. It's one of my favorite yaois that I've ever read. Great story, good characters, supportive friends. It's got it all. It really has it all.
I'm excited for that. I hope people will watch it. The booty hole shot has informed my entire life at this point. I am forever changed. I was scrolling through Instagram and there was a guy by the name of Captain, I think it's Yupu, and he had a shot of him showing off his large pectoral muscles, but there was like framing in the shot, and I immediately thought, oh my God, did he take a photograph through somebody's butthole? And I sent it to Mason. So like that one frame literally changed my life and my worldview.
Yeah, it was I can't show it on here. I think YouTube would take down the video.
Yeah.
But it was a fuck. And also, it's not a very big panel, so blink and you'll miss it. But keep an eye out for it in the beginning of volume 2. It's on page like 3, so you get into it quick. But so Sam and I have a special announcement.
That's right, we do. Right before we say our special announcement, I forgot to tell people I'm watching Game Boys. Check it out.
Okay.
It's a Filipino boys love. It's on YouTube. Check it out, Game Boys. Okay, go ahead. Special announcement.
Okay, cool. So as restrictions are being lifted, and with the 4th of July holiday coming up and having a few days off of work, I bought a ticket and I'm gonna go visit Sam 4th of July weekend. So we'll have a live, like, we're actually in the same room recording of Busy Thinking About Boys Love. So excited. Less than a month.
I'm so excited too. And because Mason and I have been actually getting views on this, which is shocking, we wanted to ask you guys if you had any recommendations for something that you would want us to review when we're together. We've mentioned a few of the shows that we've watched, like both of us have watched. And so I think we'd like to get your commentary within the next week, just so we have time to prepare and rewatch things. But if you have a suggestion of a show that you believe we've watched before that you'd really like to hear us review together, please leave it down below, because we love your engagement. And so we'd like to do something that really encourages your engagement even further.
Right, we want to do something special because it's not like we get to do this often. So, in fact, I've known Sam for, we've known each other for 4 years now, because I started my K-pop channel in very early 2016. So, yeah, 4.5 years now. And we've only met one time in person because schedules and honestly,
the United States is massive. He lives in California.
Yeah. So we just want to do something fun and special. Oh man, we should do like a completely raw live stream, because after we're done talking, we'll usually talk for a couple hours afterwards too. Unless I'm like being a baby and I need to like go eat food or something. But yeah, let us know. I almost think we should do together with you, because
together with me?
Together with me, because we'll be together.
Aw, that is cute.
But I don't know. I really love that anime Given, so that's on my list too. So whatever you think,
Yeah. So like, just leave comments down below. Definitely if it's something that we can't do when we're together, more than likely it's something we will review in the future. In fact, one of the people who watched one of our early shows together recommended Red Wine in the Dark Night. So we do listen when people say, hey, I'd love to see you review this, that, and the other. We actually do pay attention.
Right. Yeah.
So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. We're shocked at how many views we've had on our Together episode.
I am nervous for the stands if they come for us because we were not very nice. So yeah,
stands have not been very nice. I'm telling you, that high five will go down in history as a what not to do when it comes to ending a series.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But yeah, I'm surprised people watch this, because honestly, we're just shooting the shit at this point. So I'm glad people are liking it, Oh yeah, we talked about it last week, but next week is Dark Blue Kiss. We're gonna review Dark Blue Kiss.
Dark Blue Kiss, please, please, please catch up on just the show. I'm going to tell you now, I don't normally talk mean to y'all that are watching this, but I'm going to tell you now. Don't ask me if I watched Kiss Me or Kiss Me Again. I didn't. I'm not going to. Leave me alone. One thing that I need to be very clear on here, and it's something that I get so sick of people saying, well, if you read the book, then you would know. No. I shouldn't have to watch and read 15 different sources in order to be able to understand what you're putting in front of me here. Now, it's one thing to jump into the middle of a series, episode 5, and not know what the fuck's going on because you didn't watch 1 through 4. Mm-hmm. But if you're marketing a show and it is a 12-show arc, you should be able to get across where we are at within the first couple of episodes, and I should be able to follow along without having to watch 24 episodes of something else.
Right.
Now, I get it when people say, well, this point was better explained in the novel. That I get, and that I respect. Or even if you say what they left out of the show was this, that, and the third. But when people say, you should have read the book, you should have watched the other show. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the book is not even in my fucking language. So how the hell am I supposed to read the book when I can't read the language?
Right.
Secondly, again, you're marketing a 12-episode arc. Cut a bit some slack. I'm not going back and watching 24 episodes. Catch me now. Catch me in this moment. So in terms of people talking about continuity issues between the Kiss Me series and this one, I don't want to hear it. I don't need to know about it. I'm going to be watching this show as a standalone piece.
Right. We are watching just Dark Blue Kiss.
Just Dark Blue Kiss. Just commenting on the way that their characters appear in this series alone. We're not going to talk about inconsistencies in their character arcs. We're not going to talk about, well, in the previous episode, people knew this, but then in this one, No. We're talking about Dark Blue Kiss. So please do me a favor and keep that commentary about, well, you should have watched on quiet because I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to do it. You are wasting your time.
Right. Oh, I think that wraps up this episode. Doesn't look like it was another 2-hour one.
No, thank God.
I can't believe we talked for 2 hours about fucking My Engineer.
'Cause it's worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. I love that show. It's over and we're still fucking talking about it in the episode.
See? Okay, this is a meme for our show then. You know, instead of it's good when you hear Right Kind Company, it's Sam and Mason when you hear, but My Engineer. Good times.
All right, everyone. Stay safe out there. Adios.